looked at in the NFL and studied their kind of process of getting into the league?
Obviously, Sebastian Fulmer. He was always like a huge role model for me, or for like guys, growing up in Austria in general. And I actually got the chance to meet him a couple weeks ago, so that was huge for me. But then obviously also like fullback Jacob Johnson, or like usually like a couple of the guys from Germany were always huge role models for me.
Anything you watched from Vollmer from his game specifically to take on the field?
Yeah, obviously like his story itself, but then obviously also the way he pass sets, and like he's still like how athletic he was even with his size, is something that I try to incorporate into my game as well.
Could you school us on how you want to say it? Because we've heard Raimann. How do you want us to say it?
Bernhard Raimann is fine, but I'm cool with whatever. I mean, obviously, people ask me how to pronounce my name, but my parents always only pronounce it in German. So when I came over here, they started asking me how to pronounce the name, and I don't know. It's just whatever's easiest, I guess.
How was the transition from tight end to offensive player?
It was fun. So I was playing tight end the first 2 years, and then coaches asked me, to transition in the spring of 2020, and I was a little hesitant at first, but I was just trying to give it up for the team because we didn't have anyone at the position, and then got my first practice and ended up loving it. Got really good one-on-ones against our DN Troy Harrison. And, I just felt like I was involved in every game. I could actually really make an impact on every single play out there, and then I ended up loving it before we then got shut down with COVID, obviously. But no, I really enjoyed it.
How did you put on all that weight? I mean, that takes a lot of work, right?
So when I got to Central, I played tight end. So over those first 2 years, I kind of gained some weight gradually, and I was 265 at that point. So then when coaches asked me to move to tackle, I kind of started taking nutrition more serious, calorie input and everything, and when I would have those meals. So I think it just needed some structure to get to that point. It wasn't too difficult.
Do you have a target weight you want to get to that you feel comfortable with going in the NFL?
It's really up to the coaches. Obviously, I trust them more than trust myself with guessing a weight. So wherever they think I perform the best and I can help the team out the most is where I'll be. Yes, sir. So we went to school together. Obviously, both played tackle, left and right. But then I guess couldn't get enough of each other, so we signed with the same agency, training with the same guys, and then now we're here together too. So. Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, even his history of playing at CMU, starting as playing tight end, and then transitioning to tackle as well. It's just something that we both look up to, and so it's been a huge honor for us, and it's been so helpful to work with him the last couple months.
What was it like getting the footwork down, going from tight end and running routes to going to pass sets?
Yeah, the pass sets, that was probably the most difficult part because you don't usually go backwards as a tight end. You're still involved in, all the strong side, zone schemes and everything. So you're still involved in the run blocking more than the pass blocking. So that was a little bit more unnatural for me. But that's really when my O-line coach, Coach Cummings, helped me out tremendously. So even in the off season, when the COVID time, when he wasn't allowed to work with us, he would still, send me long texts about what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. I would send him clips of myself doing the drills, and he would even record himself doing, the right thing and trying to explain, coach me through his phone, basically. So that was just tremendous of him.
You feel pretty comfortable with where you're at now?
Sorry?
You feel pretty comfortable with your passing?
Played wide receiver, because I just came off, obviously, playing soccer growing up, and so yeah, it was fun. All the basics. Obviously, I didn't know anything going into this tryout, but the coaches, took me on and taught me a lot of the basics, and then I just learned from there.
Was your team any good?
Sorry?
Was your team any good?
Yes, the Vikings are good. Obviously one of the best in Europe. So It was a privilege to play for them.
What's the feedback you can get from friends and family at home as you go through this process?
I mean, it's been cool. I still get to, FaceTime everyone. Obviously, with like COVID, they weren't really able to, come visit. But like through FaceTime and, technology makes everything easier nowadays. So it's been
Because you're so sort of early still in your transition, do you feel like you really can get a lot better as you learn, and grow?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even now going back, watching my film from the last 2 years, there's many things I made mistakes on that I wouldn't nowadays. But then even like throughout the seasons, I think I really improved my technique every game, and something I take a lot of pride in is I don't make the same mistake twice. So I just learn from that and got better.
Now, who's the best pass rusher you faced last year?
Pass rusher. In competition, I would say, like Robinson, for example, from Miami of Ohio, is great. LSU, Missouri, obviously had some great athletes as well, but overall, I would say my teammate Troy Harrison actually was like the most versatile pass rusher I faced. Obviously, in practice every day, but his combination of like speed and power was something that I didn't really see during the games as much as I saw in practice every day. So it was always a good preparation for that game that Saturday or that Tuesday or Wednesday games for the action. But yeah.
Was there something that struck you about Robinson?
He's just a great athlete. He's long, he's fast, really twitchy guy. Can also change directions quick. And like the whole scheme, like with Miami of Ohio, them being like running a lot of like twist games and stuff, really set up his talents as well. Because then you are worried about the defensive tackle trying to pick you, and then he's going looping inside. But then when they don't do it, he has enough speed to then beat you off the edge as well. So it's kind of like a guessing game if you go into it with the wrong attitude. But if you just play by principle, like you can compete with anyone. So that's something to play with that game.
I spent some time in the military and then returned to Austria. What was that experience like?
It was awesome. So finishing up high school in May of 2017, I started off the military service a couple days after that for 6 months. It was an awesome experience. It's like, obviously physically I wasn't in shape before that. I always tried to do my best to stay in shape for that. But, the whole mental aspect of waking up in the middle of the night, packing your stuff, being on time all the time, working as a team, having the discipline to clean your boots every day and to have your bed checked every day is something that I took away from that the most, because like that discipline, obviously you still make your bed when your mom tells you to do, but once you do it with the military, it's like it becomes a whole different mindset of getting ready for the day, finishing your first task, and then moving forward and being productive.
What do you want to showcase this week?
Just like who I am, trying to be an athlete.
Are you going to do all of the drills and testing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how would you describe your play style?
My play style?
Yeah.
I would say it's smart, aggressive. So I always try to finish people, but never at the cost of the team. So I know I'm situationally aware of if we, losing, if we're up, like what's the situation, and I don't jeopardize a team win with my own actions. So that's something I take a lot of pride into, being smart enough about what I do in the football field and with my aggression out there.
Did you meet with the Broncos while you were here?
Sorry?
Did you meet with the Broncos while you were here?
I did.
What was your impression of that meeting?
Really good meeting. A lot of connections with Central. Head coach actually had some really tight connection with the Vienna Vikings. So it was a good meeting overall. Just had some fun, talking ball.
What about Miami? Did you start freaking out? If so, what were your impressions about
I met with him at the Senior Bowl. So it was a good meeting. Obviously, though, like the Senior Bowl meetings, it was a lot more of like getting to know you, trying to like talk about the story and everything. But with like the teams that I'm meeting with this week, it's more of like talking football, explaining plays, and which is something I enjoy a little bit more than just talking about myself the entire time.
What was the overall feedback you got at the Senior Bowl from that experience? On your game?
It was good. So, from what I've heard, I think teams enjoyed having me. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed, meeting up with them, getting to know the league even more like in person, rather than just seeing, all these coaches and people on TV.
Have you met with the Steelers yet thus far this week, and how did that go if you did?
Yeah, so I met with them 2 days ago, and it was a good meeting. Obviously, they pull up some plays, some good, some bads from the season, but I was just, trying to be myself as much as I could and try to explain myself, and it was a good meeting overall. I definitely enjoyed it. I can't speak for them, but yeah.
I'm curious, when was the